must have it.
Hello and welcome to the program. I am Dennis Adegunloye. Legislators have now resumed plenary after the Christmas and New Year break. But before we get to activities on the floor of the Red Chamber, let's begin with interactions between President Muhammadu Buhari and Senate President Ahmed Lawan. The engagement was informed by recent agitations for protests over the widely held belief that subsidy on petroleum products will be removed by the federal government. However, speaking to newsmen after his meeting with Mr. President, the Senate President sought to put the record straight.
I'm happy to inform Nigerians that Mr. President never told anyone that the petroleum subsidy should be removed. I want to commend Mr. President for still keeping this philosophy of ensuring that the most ordinary Nigerian does not suffer in any way. It's not true that 100 million liters is consumed in Nigeria every day. It's not true. It's not. No. We have to find a solution to this. It may not be exactly the way we want it in the implementation of the subsidy, but that is our challenge as an administration, as a government. So we need to come together to find a solution to this. There must be an irreducible minimum level of partisanship. There is a level at which you should not come down to because of politics. No, citizens first. We shouldn't toy with lives of our people. I am very happy, very relieved with this meeting with Mr. President.
And speaking before plenary resumed, Senator Lawan said both chambers of the National Assembly will pass the Electoral Act Amendment Bill upon resumption and forward it to Mr. President for assent.
And we are happy that at the end of the day, we have been able to narrow down our differences and arrive at a very patriotic resolution that our country must have a new electoral law that will guide the 2023 general elections in the country. And we came to the conclusion in both chambers, across party lines, in a very patriotic way, to say time is of essence in this respect. We should just look at the possibility of opening up the mode of primaries so that you can have direct, you can have indirect, and even consensus. And it's up to political parties to decide which option is okay for them.
And true to his word, both chambers of the National Assembly passed the Electoral Act Amendment Bill within the week.
On the 21st of December 2021, President Muhammadu Buhari informed the National Assembly of his reasons for withholding assent to the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2010. 1 month after, the National Assembly has reconsidered and passed the bill, with the Senate leaving the mode for party primaries to the discretion of the party, which could either be direct, indirect, or consensus.
Desirous of the need to address the observation by Mr. President Commander-in-Chief and make necessary amendments in accordance with Order 87C of Senate Standing Orders 2022 as amended.
This is one of our major pillars and planks in our legislative agenda when we started in 2019, and the calls by our constituents and other stakeholders on the need for us to expedite action on addressing those observations made by Mr. President. And we have done that very, very patriotically.
The House of Representatives, after an intense atmosphere rising from a closed-door session, adopted direct and indirect, but said no to consensus candidate.
Lawmaking is, there are two chambers. If there's any little disagreement, then there's going to be a conference, and the conference will resolve it.
Apart from the mode of party primaries, there are other critical issues contained in the amendment bill. These include the provision of legal backing for card readers, giving the electoral umpire the discretion to decide whether to transmit election results electronically, and the review of campaign spendings. Meanwhile, Chief Whip of the Senate, Orji Uzor Kalu, said all that President Muhammadu Buhari ultimately wants is the good of all Nigerians. He stated this while briefing Senate correspondents on his meeting with the President on Tuesday night, which borders on national issues.
Very good convention, very good atmosphere. We are going to make Nigerians proud after 26th of February. And I went there to discuss national issues.
Senator Kalu noted that the forthcoming convention of the All Progressives Congress has been fashioned to further strengthen Nigeria's democratic process.
Another major issue that the Senate is to give priority to in the coming days and weeks is the Constitution Amendment. Recall that last year the committees on Constitution Amendments of both chambers of the National Assembly had subjected the bill to public hearings in all geopolitical zones of the country.
We have one major legislation, and that is the Constitution Amendment. We are expectant that our Committee on the Review of the Constitution will be presenting the report to this chamber.
We are ready to go. This Senate meant business last year, and we will see mean business this year, because the constitutional amendment on the Senate side is ready. We are waiting for House of Representatives to bring the amendments so we can go through it and then come to conference. I happen to be a member of that committee.
The Senate is also to strengthen its instrument of oversight on budget implementation in order to ensure increased revenue generation and put a stop to borrowing.
Distinguished colleagues, I once again commend the Senate and indeed the National Assembly and the executive arm of government for working tirelessly to maintain the instituted January to December budget cycle. The Senate will develop a strategy of engagement with revenue-generating agencies on how to make them achieve their targets and generate more revenues in 2022.
And in the week when President Muhammadu Buhari unveiled in Abuja 13 mega pyramids built with 1 million bags of paddy rice, the Senate has passed the National Rice Development Council bill. This is expected to further provide the legal framework for the presidential initiative.
Support amenities.
The bill seeks to establish a council that will specifically manage rice value chain in the country through the provision of research and the comprehensive development of local rice production. Senator Bima Inagi sponsored the bill.
Today, we have Paddy Rice Dealers Association of Nigeria, the Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria, the Rice Processors Association, the Millers Association, and many others. There is no rallying point for them. So this bill seeks to establish the Rice Development Council.
That the Senate do consider the report of the Committee on Agriculture and Rural Development on the National Rice Development Council.
We expect that this will go a long way in ensuring that we have the right seats, we have the right environment as far as rice production in Nigeria is concerned.
The bill seeking to provide for the regulation of health education practitioners, sponsored by Senator Ibrahim Oloriegbe, passed second reading.
To set regulations as standard for the profession, discipline of erring members, and advanced professionalism in the profession, and for other related matters.
Senator Sabi Abdullahi drew the attention of the Senate to what he described as renewed bandit attacks in Niger North Senatorial District, with similar situation in Plateau North Senatorial District, as emphasized by Senator Istefanus Gang.
And other security agencies involved in the ordered operations to closely monitor and block the escape paths or routes used by the bandits and fleeing terrorists to forestall their relocation to safe havens in other parts of Niger State.
And also to direct the IGP, Inspector General of Police, to reinforce security for traditional rulers in view of their vulnerability as easy targets of abduction by kidnappers.
Senate paid tribute to late former governor of Oyo State, Adebayo Alao Akala, and late Olubadan Oba Saliu Adetunji, who both died this month.
Strict implementation of the provisions of the Petroleum Industry Act will signal to the international community that it is no longer business as usual in the nation's petroleum sector. This came from the Senate Committee on Petroleum Resources Upstream during its oversight to the Nigerian Petroleum Upstream Regulatory Commission.
It is the first week of resumption of the National Assembly, and members of the Senate Committee on Petroleum Resources Upstream are already on the move. The mission to the Petroleum Resources Upstream Regulatory Commission is to assess the level of implementation of Petroleum Industry Act. The committee was clear that non-implementation of PIA would be a pointer to the failure of its leadership.
So we are now letting the industry know that the National Assembly is fully out to ensure that every single provisions as enshrined in the Petroleum Industry Act is followed to the letter without any form of ambiguity. The task ahead of you is enormous. It's enormous. That's why we must constantly work with the steering committee to ensure that you are properly guided without infringing on your independence, because that's what the industry is looking at.
We are very determined in ensuring that we perform in line, operate in line with the provisions of the Act. Suffice for me to say that we equally recognize the fact that your support, of course, which we have been enjoying since our assumption of office, is very key.
While assuring the Commission that National Assembly is ready for any amendment of the Act in line with the current realities, the committee encouraged the Commission to be firm with its mandate as the 21st century regulator in the oil and gas industry.
Now, Senator representing Kebbi Central, Adamu Aliro, who is also the Chairman, Senate Committee on Works, gives his perspectives on the strides of the Buhari administration in infrastructural developments with particular focus on road improvements.
Let me start by saying that the Buhari administration, more than any other administration, is actually addressing the infrastructural deficit, particularly in the road sector. There has been, for a long, neglect of the critical road infrastructure in the country since the days of Petroleum Task Force set up by late General Sani Abacha, which incidentally was headed by President Buhari. Since that time, there has never been any deliberate policy to address the decay in the road sector. And going by budgetary provision alone, certainly it is not enough. Right now, the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing is undertaking over 820 projects, road projects across the country. And with a very small amount of money, 280 billion naira. And the actual requirement, based on what the Ministry of Works said, is that they need 1.7 trillion naira to do this road. And they are given only 280 billion naira. You will see a road that will cost 20 billion naira. But in the budget, they will only provide 500 million naira, not billion. And the contractor will not even access this 500 million that is provided in the budget. At the very best, he will access 350 million naira. The rest cannot be accessed because of paucity of funds released by the Ministry of Finance. So, realizing this factor, the Buhari administration has come with a number of measures aimed at addressing the infrastructure deficit in Nigeria. One of these measures, or policy measure, is tax credit scheme, which was initiated through Executive Order 007. Before that, we had Sukuk, where bond is floated into the bond market or stock market, and the proceeds of this bond is deployed into the construction of roads across the country. So far, that scheme has worked very well, and quite a number of roads have been rehabilitated or reconstructed, and some of them are even awaiting commissioning. We had Sukuk 1, Sukuk 2, and Sukuk 3, and each time the bond is floated, it is oversubscribed because the general public respond positively because of the viability of the investment. So whatever proceeds that were generated is deployed into the road sector. The recent one taken by government, the recent policy taken by government under Executive Order 007 is tax credit scheme meant for development and refurbishment of road in the country. And NNPC is taking over 21 roads. These 21 roads are already awarded by the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing. Contractors have mobilized to the side. Some have achieved various degrees of percentages of completion, maybe from 10 to about 60 or 70%. So with the involvement of NNPC, there will be accelerated development of road reconstruction or rehabilitation in the country, because instead of paying tax into the federation account, this money is now channeled into the road sector, and contractors will access this money easily, and they will use it to complete whatever contract that are awarded to them. I commend the initiative of President Buhari for coming up with this policy, and there is no doubt that in the next 2 to 3 years there will be tremendous improvement in road sector and infrastructure development. Most of the bad roads, particularly in the North Central, where the main link of the country is. If you are going into the southwest from the north, you cross over through the North Central. If you are coming from the south-south or the southeast to the north, you must come through the North Central. And that's why most of these roads are selected in the North Central because of their strategic importance. They are used for the transportation of petroleum products, cement, building materials, and agricultural goods that are normally produced from the north into the south. Raw materials that have been imported from the seaport, they come through Lagos, pass through Ibadan, then into the northern part of the state, and also into the south-south and also southeastern states. It is not only the NNPC, even the LNG is equally involved in this tax credit. Before that, also we had Dangote Industries that is responsible for the reconstruction and rehabilitation of Apapa Oshodi Oronshoti Expressway. I inspected that road, and it is one of the best roads in the country because he used cement, concrete, and iron rods to reconstruct that road. And it will last longer, it is going to be more durable, and because of the heavy traffic plying that road, it is put in proper shape. And there is no better road in the country than that one. The tax credit will certainly bring transparency, efficiency in the management of funds meant to the government. Because the whole idea of collecting tax is to provide service, is to provide infrastructure, health facilities, education, and what have you. And we pick road sector because of its strategic importance to the economy. So even if you leave this money to the government, it is certainly going to be deployed into the provision of infrastructure. Then it is now going to be used directly. It is not even going into the account of government. It will simply go into the account of the contractor that is doing the road construction. The Ministry of Finance is monitoring it, mark you. The Ministry of Works is equally monitoring it. The Ministry of Justice, that drew the agreement, is equally also monitoring it. And above all, the National Assembly has the constitutional responsibility of performing oversight functions on this very important policy initiated by the administration. The Committee on Works will certainly go and inspect all these roads. The Committee on Finance will also do the same. Not only that, there are other committees of the National Assembly that are equally going to monitor and ensure that there is efficiency and transparency in the way these funds are deployed.
Well, that concludes this edition of the program. Thanks for watching. I am Dennis at Digunloye. See you next week.